Welcome to Credit Union Chatt Box, the official podcast of Chattanooga First Federal Credit Union. My name is Michael Crosa, and I'm here to learn more about personal finance and what makes this credit union special. In each episode, we'll chat with experts, members, and staff about money topics that matter most to you. Now, this is a judgment-free zone, so don't be shy about asking questions. Learning more about money is how we get ahead. All right, now let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to the Credit Union Chatt Box podcast, the official podcast of Chattanooga First Federal Credit Union. My name is Michael Crosa. I'm here with Terri Stansell, president of the credit union, and Megan Profit, one of her wonderful team members. How are y'all doing today?
We're good. How are you?
Good, doing well. Yeah, thanks for having me. Okay, so credit versus debit. I've got both cards in my wallet and they look to me the same. You're already making a face. So tell me the difference in like a very broad level, and then we'll go into detail. What's the difference really between a credit and a debit card?
Well, the credit card is kind of like a loan.
Okay.
Or a line of credit.
Okay.
It's a line of credit. It may be $10,000, $20,000.
Okay.
That your limit. So you could go on a shopping spree for $20,000.
Love it.
And your debit card, it is backed by your checking account, the money you have in your checking or savings account, but it has a limit. And that limit may be $500, it may be $2,000.
Okay.
But usually it is about $2,000 or less.
Okay. So what I'm hearing then is a credit card is somebody else's money, Visa or MasterCard or whatever. Debit card is my money.
Correct.
And in either way, there's going to be some limits.
Right.
Got it. What are some of the main confusion points that you see people run into with a credit versus debit cards?
That they go to purchase something and they think their debit card can buy a $20,000 car. And
it doesn't work that way.
No. And then they call us upset, want to increase the limit, and we can't because that becomes like a
liability.
Yeah, liability.
Yeah.
Unsecured loan.
Makes sense. Is there a difference in kind of the strategy that people use when using a debit card versus credit card? Or like, are there reasons that you would pick one versus the other?
I think with a credit card, bigger purchases.
And they want points.
And they want the
points at those.
Okay.
That you can rack up. Yeah, that you can rack up when you use it.
The points.
So like
purchase other things.
Gotcha.
You can fly. You can purchase. Trips.
Cash back.
Gotcha. And that comes with a credit card because there's some other business incentives, I guess, for the
on the other side.
Yeah. Got it. Whereas debit card, that's just your money and that's
debit
it.
card. Yeah, that is just your money.
Yeah. So let's say I go to a store or something like that, and something happens, I need to get a refund. What are the differences in how that would work with a credit card versus a debit card?
I'd say they're basically the same.
There's a window of days before you're going to see a credit back.
Gotcha.
I just feel like you're more secured with a credit card.
You are.
You're backed up.
Well, anything with a credit card, purchase $50 or more, you have recourse. If, let's say you purchase a product and you're not happy with that product, but you purchase it with a credit card, on sending it back or returning it.
And in that case,
or theft of the credit card.
Yikes. And that's the credit card company that's helping kind of resolve that?
It's Visa.
Is that what you mean? Yeah.
Visa rules.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then a debit card, you don't have the same recourse. Now you have what's called a chargeback, where the person comes or calls the credit union and said, this is a fraudulent charge on my account. Then we start the chargeback process. You're given a temporary credit because the merchant on the other side has so many days to respond to that and to say, no, this is correct. They did purchase this online or purchase it by phone, and then you're kind of stuck. You've lost that money
right
on a debit card.
So with the debit card, that's you guys would be backing it up and helping out with any issues that might arise.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's so important that people on their debit card, that they look at their account
Okay.
at least every 2 days
Okay.
to see if they're fraudulent charges. Because most time we don't get the phone call till about a month later, and hundreds of dollars have gone from their
Yeah.
checking account. Most of the time it happens when people go online to make an online purchase. And the most risk is if it's with a foreign company, someone outside of the country. And this is Megan is the one who handles these complaints.
Yeah.
Visa will notify us.
Visa, they call the member first.
Okay.
And then they notify us, or, whatever.
Send an email to us.
Yeah, they send us an email with the list of transactions that are questionable. And then I follow up with them. I have to call them. Sometimes they've talked to Visa. Sometimes, in a lot of cases, they haven't.
Wow.
And so I have to go through each transaction to make sure that that's their transaction. And if it's fraud, we have to close the card and go through that process.
Wow. Is that debit, credit, or both? Or that's
Debit.
specifically?
Yeah. Your debit card.
Got it.
Yeah.
But a lot of times Visa can't get a hold of our member because
Correct.
the member's phone number has changed.
Correct.
And the member didn't tell us notify us about their new phone number. And Visa, they have access to our system, and they're picking up the phone number that we have in our system.
Right.
Or a lot of members will see that an 800 number is calling them,
And they won't pick up the phone.
and they won't answer.
Sure.
So please call the 800 number back, but do not give them your information. Let them give you your card number. But yes, it's real important because most of this fraud activity happens on weekends when financial institutions are closed.
And people are using their cards more frequent.
Gotcha. Yeah. Can we just talk about that verifying the information real quick? Because I think that was a really good tip.
Okay.
So let's say I get a phone call and, it's, hey, we're your credit card and we just want to make sure that you're the right person.
They will say this is the card number we have on file. They'll tell you the card number, the expiration date. They will also verify with you so many of your last transactions.
Got it. And so let's say they were to ask me and I were to provide that, then I might be giving valuable information to like a scammer or something like that. Gotcha.
With the debit card, people just use it so freely, whether it be gas pumps, stores. They don't keep up with their transactions. And it's so important that they keep up with their transactions and not wait till 30 or 60 days later when they get their statement.
Which has happened.
And yes.
Yeah.
We've had a couple that we went back, was it 3 months?
But you can only go back so far.
Yeah, I think the 60 days.
Okay.
charge
Yeah.
that
So
they
anything
allowed us.
prior, you're
Who knows?
lost.
Lost.
You're lost.
Yeah. Wow.
But there is more protection with the credit card. I know a lot of people they're thinking of the interest that they would pay on that credit card.
Right.
But the debit card is more risky.
Yeah. So the debit card, because it's already coming straight out of your bank account, interest isn't part of that conversation.
No interest, not unless
Right.
some debit cards are tied to an overdraft loan.
Sure. Yeah.
They may have gone on a Saturday and some transactions on their debit card, but those have not posted because the merchant hasn't batched out their terminals.
Oh, so it might
and
take
they
a
may
few
not
days.
post till 2 to 3 days. And then the people they think, oh, I still have this amount of money in my account, and then come Monday they don't. Yeah, because you've got to keep track of your transactions,
Got it.
or at least a close idea.
Yeah. Have a good ballpark of what
Yeah.
what you can spend and what you can't.
Yeah. Megan, you work with people on this a lot, right? So have there been any stories where somebody got in hot water and you were able to help them out?
Yeah, there was a couple that had probably 3, it may have been even more
3 or 4
transactions.
months.
Yeah.
Fraudulent transactions.
Fraudulent transactions. But see, the thing is I called, I've called them consecutively, consistently when they were on the in-fact list, and everything was okay. And then come to find out, everything was not okay. But I believe the majority of the transactions were refunded. We submitted the chargebacks.
Yeah.
And they were able to get majority of their money back.
Nice. That's good.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen here a lot. Not a lot.
Gotcha.
We've had a couple of times in the past where there was like a batch, but it was foreign country trying to. So at Chattanooga First Federal Credit Union, our debit cards are not. They cannot use them in a foreign country, only in the United States.
Okay.
Right.
But there's things that happen here too.
Sure.
Right.
And then the funds go elsewhere.
And that's a lot. You'll see a lot of that on our InFact list as people have tried to go online or like through PayPal or something like that, where it comes through as
Hong Kong,
Germany, wherever.
Yeah.
And those will decline because, but there's a certain few people that consistently try to do it, and it it doesn't work. But
so I feel like I've heard a debit card be referred to as a check card or checking card. Is that accurate?
Yeah, people do call them check cards.
What does that mean? Like, why would they call them that?
Maybe their checking account because the money comes out of their checking account.
Oh, okay.
It's backed
by their checking account.
Got it. So writing a physical check and using a debit card is kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It's coming out of the same source.
Got it. Well, speaking of, how do checks work?
Let's say I write a check to Jane, and then Jane takes it to her bank to deposit or cash it, and then it clears through my bank if the funds are there.
Got it.
Yeah.
So Jane's got to trust you.
Yes, yes. Well, even same thing with a debit card. I could pay her with a debit card, but then if I went to my bank, if she didn't give me that service or that product was defective, I can go to my bank or credit union and do a chargeback. So dispute that charge.
Got it. So then checks are pretty much just like an IOU.
Well, and sometimes like if you write a check to the grocery store, you're going grocery shopping, sometimes they run it through, and they'll run it through like an ACH automatically.
They convert
that check
Like
to
right
ACH.
there in the moment?
Yes.
Yep. And it'll
automatic
come up
clearinghouse.
Okay.
So it happens instantly.
Yeah, because sometimes, years ago, you'd write a check and then a few days later it would clear.
Gotcha.
Or,
So if I paid for my groceries with a check, they wouldn't know for a few days.
Yeah.
I was,
You could beat the check.
You could beat it's a way to play the system.
But that's kind of over with.
It is.
Because of converting to the ACH.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, and I think using a debit card is so much quicker and more convenient anyway.
But it's riskier.
Yeah.
But checks have become risky too because they're washing the name on the check and then putting their name on the check.
Gotcha. Yikes.
And they can even change the amount.
Because that happened to somebody here not too long ago.
Yeah, that's the biggest fraud going right now that we see, more so than debit cards.
Gotcha. Well, going back to debit versus credit cards, are there other things you think people should know if they're deciding to use one or the other?
They both have their pros and their cons. It's just keeping up with your account. That's the most important thing. Don't wait till the end of the month when you get your statement. Be proactive and look at your account at least every 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look at mine daily just because.
Check your checks.
Yeah.
So as far as like services offered here at Chattanooga First Federal Credit Union, I think you mentioned you don't offer credit cards? Or?
Not at this time, but we have the program ready to launch.
Okay. So maybe soon, but definitely debit cards.
Yes.
Yeah.
And ATM cards.
Oh, what's that? What's the difference there?
Okay, so the ATM card is only good at an ATM machine to get cash.
Okay.
It cannot be used as a debit card or a credit card.
Okay. Does that make it a little bit safer? Or?
No, they'd have to have the PIN
because they
number.
need your PIN number.
Got it.
Never put your PIN number with your card.
Okay, yeah, I won't write it on the back.
Because
right?
that's happened before. Believe it or not, people put they'll attach like a little note on their card with their PIN number, and someone gets that card, they've got the PIN number.
Wow.
You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, an ATM card is, it's just for ATMs, and it's a little safer just because you have to have that PIN number.
Yeah.
And only you're supposed to know that PIN number.
Right.
And there are some people that only want to deal in cash.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, if somebody did want to open up a debit card or checking account with you guys, if they wanted to get started with that or ask some more questions, how can we get in touch with Chattanooga First Federal Credit Union?
Call us at 423-267-7621 or stop in at 3120 Broad Street.
Right on. Cool. Well, I will be sure to put that phone number and the website down in the show notes so that people can come find you.
All
Perfect.
Thank you.
That's all for this episode of Credit Union Chatt Box. To learn more, contact the fine folks at Chattanooga First Federal Credit Union at chatfirst.org, linked in the show notes below. That's chat with 2 T's, chatfirst.org. This show is produced by Chattanooga Podcast Studios and is a member of the Podnooga Network. If you have any questions or topics for us to cover on the show, please send us an email at podnooga@gmail.com. Now, keep in mind, this show is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Laws and policies change often, so always check with an expert before making decisions based on what you hear in our show. We'll be back soon with more personal finance insights on the next episode of Credit Union Chatt Box.